Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples with the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hello, David. 5 out of 6 points to start the season. That beats what these guys did out of the gate the previous 2 seasons. So a good start to the year so far, and a big win tonight.
A big win and a weird win in a lot of ways. Well, the grade A shots in this game, Kurt, were 20 for the Rangers to 7. And this is when on the subset of even more dangerous 5 alarm shots, it was 8-5 for the Rangers. So that was closer. The Oilers had 5 good chances to score, and they scored on they scored an empty net goal, but they scored on one of those 5, and it was the key moment in the game of those 5 alarm shots. Kurt, let's get right at it. 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers. What is your good thing?
My good thing is Stuart Skinner. I very easily could have looked like an idiot after my 9 things column on Sunday. When, as you know, my number one thing was this was too small of a sample to roast Stuart Skinner, and this guy needed to be given a chance and be given some runway. And I'm sure not everybody liked that message, but it's how I felt, and it's the column that I wrote.
All you were saying was give Stu a chance.
Just give Stu a chance. That's the first and last time I will sing on the Cult of Hockey podcast.
Kurt, I'm so sad about that. That was very in tune. It reminded me a lot of.
It was a little more Yoko than John, but yeah. Well, yeah. I just as easily could have been wrong about that column, but it turns out I backed into it and I was correct. Stuart Skinner pitches a shutout at Madison Square Garden, stops 30 of 30 shots, and he was on this early. I think the Oilers would have fallen behind early if Skinner had not been sharp early in the first period. His early save on Carrick, that deke that he got a pad on, and then Bouchard with the turnover to Cooley and 74 stoned him. So 2 big saves early in the first period. In the second period, saves on back-to-back shifts against Edstrom, who that big, tall fourth line for the Rangers, I thought was their best line tonight.
Yeah.
Edstrom got one of the shots on an odd man and then another one right from the slot, and Stu kicked it out. That same frame, he kicked out a slot shot from Miller on the power play. And then in the third period, the big one was the glove save on Carrick, who was knocking on the door all night. He had 6 grade A scoring chances by my count, but that one was a big glove save. I'm sure that this would count as a steal for Stuart Skinner tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And surely redeems himself in the eyes of a large percentage of the Oilers fandom. He'll never satisfy everybody, but at least tonight, most people should be going home happy.
Yeah, that game was a very, very potent mouthwash to wipe away the terrible taste of Stu's big screw up in game 1.
Yes.
It's great. He needed that just to get that off the agenda, because that was such a horrible mistake, and we're
right?
still talking about it here.
Yeah.
But he had a puck handling error in the first minute. He threw it up the boards, and there was a turnover, and they almost broke into attack, but Stetcher broke up the play. What I noticed though, Kurt, with Skinner, he wasn't called upon to make any of those side-to-side stops that have troubled him, but he did move very well, sealing off the bottom of the net with his pads. He made a number of saves where he was moving across the net and just getting his toe or his foot to the bottom of his pad on low shots, which was impressive and looked. And I don't know if it's new, but he was on it. Maybe when Stu Skinner's good, that's what he does well.
Yeah.
But he did a great job of that kind of movement in the net, sealing off that bottom of the net in some of these break-in plays. Edstrom was coming at him. I was thinking he's kind of lucky that it's Edstrom and Carrick who are getting all these great,
as opposed to Panarin. Yeah.
Panarin and Zibanejad and Fox, but that's how it worked out. halfway through the game, when the Oilers finally scored their first goal, when Frederick got his goal, at that point in the game, the expected goals, according to my count, were 2.2 expected goals for the Rangers and 0.2 for the Oilers.
Sounds
The Oilers
about
had
right.
just been stomped to that point in the game. The Rangers should have been up 2-0 at that game, at that point in the game. But Stu Skinner, he won this game for the Oilers. Good for him.
And you mentioned his side-to-side play and his, relatively speaking, not having to take a whole bunch of those shots. I thought Stuart Skinner was our best penalty killer on the night. And as you know, the Oilers have readjusted their PK formation this year. And instead of that hybrid box, they're now playing a diamond. That system is designed to close down those east-west lanes in the offensive zone. And judging by tonight, I would say it was effective. The Oilers killed off all three of the Rangers' power plays, and you didn't see a whole lot of those one side to the other side, one-timers on net. So, certainly the credit still goes to Skinner, but I'm thinking that the Oilers have to be reasonably happy with their systems play this early into the season as well.
It's interesting they call it a diamond, Kirk, because what I'm seeing is like a very old school 1970s box. Where there's two guys on the point man and two defensemen down low, and they're it's not as complicated as the PK was last year, which involved a lot. When that PK was on in previous seasons, it was incredible. We saw how good it could be in the 24 playoffs. But it wasn't on last year at all. They were always a step behind.
Well, and the problem with that system is there's a lot of moving parts in it, right?
Yeah.
And so if it goes wrong, it can go really wrong. Playing this diamond formation, and it's a diamond because that one forward lingers. I agree with you. It looks a bit like a high box at times, but that one forward always lingers back, a space or two.
Yeah.
And so, it's I think you've gone from a high risk PK, which also had the potential to turn pucks over and send them in the other direction. Mm-hmm. I think it's far better to do what they're doing now. It's just a little safer, a little more low risk. You might not get the same number of jailbreaks, but you're not giving up as many grade A shots on the PK. And I just think it's easier to contain the attackers with this system.
Yeah, when the Oilers needed in the third period, when they needed that to shut down that third period power play about halfway through the third, they did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few chances, but they were more to the outside than dangerous slot chances. All right. My good thing was Matias Ekholm.
Agreed.
I mentioned him last. What a relief it has been to me to see him fully back playing like last year. He was, I think in the end, he had a great game. I'm just changing his mark from a 7 to an 8 as I speak because I hadn't yet factored in. He had a massive block on a shot with about under a minute left.
Yeah, right in the slot.
It was a very, very dangerous moment. The only time he lost the battle on a grade A shot was when the ref blocked his way. He couldn't get to the guy. But he threw one nasty hit on Carrick. He moved in, took a pass from McDavid, and got a great 5-alarm backhander in the third period. He's just been consistently excellent. And, he's 35 now. So that is an astonishing achievement. And that if, I've complained, I was worried about his contract, still am. But the defensemen who hold on into their late 30s are guys like Brent Burns and Letang. They're the great players. And I think Ekholm in the last few years has kind of raised his game to that level. So maybe this is going to work out, and it's sure working out so far this year. He has been fantastic. And fingers crossed he stays healthy and keeps playing this way. He's such a great hockey player.
Well, here's a few numbers to back up your eye test, which I wholly agree with. Played 20-46 was +1, 3 shots, 3 blocks, and a hit. He was one of only 2 Oilers who had more scoring chances for than against when he was on the ice at 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Ekholm was 7-4 and 5 against, and he also led the Oilers in expected goals percentage, 67%. So all the fancy stats match what the Staples eye test says tonight about the Viking.
Well, I had him with helping to create 3 grade A shots and just a mistake on the 1 grade A shot against where he was blocked by the ref. So no, I the numbers that I'm tracking also, they correlate with that. Like he just he got it done, and he's been getting it done every game so far this year. There's only been 3, of course. All right. Kurt, what's your bad thing?
My bad thing is the ice at Madison Square Garden and how the Oilers played on it for most of the night. We all know that when you go into certain arenas in the NHL, the ice surface is not going to be great. In a major world-class facility like Madison Square Garden, there are so many events in and out of that place that ice comes in and out more times than the tide, honest to God. And as a result, you often get weird ice, funny ice, cracks form. It gets snowy and slow and sticky. Pucks start to bounce. It can be a really difficult ice surface to play on. And there'll be a few people out there that'll be going, well, Leavins, it's the same for both teams. Well, it isn't and isn't. If you're used to playing on MSG ice surface, trust me, it's way easier. That's part of the home advantage. If you play and occasionally practice, I get that they don't practice at MSG all the time, but when you spend a lot of time on that ice surface, you do become used to it, and you understand that the best way typically to play on an ice surface like that is to keep it simple. And I thought that's something that the Oilers really failed to do early on. In a lot of cases, they passed up what I thought could be potentially grade A scoring chances for another pass. Now, sometimes you could just say, forget trying to pass into the net, just shoot. Well, I think it's double that on an ice surface like this. The way I always approach bad ice surfaces, and trust me, when you play in a lot of small town Saskatchewan arenas, you run into a lot of those, especially come March and April, when there's pools in the corners and there's snow stacked up in the crease. You really have to, look at the ice surface and go, okay, nothing fancy tonight. Puck in, puck out. Don't take any chances. Don't assume that puck will slide the way it normally slides. I think when you go into an arena like this, I think it's incumbent upon the visiting team to adjust your game a little bit and simplify and understand that the puck just won't slide the way it normally does. And you're really going to have to move the puck to safe places consistently and move your feet. If you're not going to give that ice service over to the home team as an advantage. I think, honestly, the Oilers didn't do that for a lot of the night, and I think that's one of the reasons why the game was as close as it was.
Just realized I didn't plug in my good mic. I'm just going on the Mac mic. Oh, wow.
You sound brilliant.
Thank you, Kurt. It's well-schooled radio announcer's voice. Okay, I'm just going to segue off that, Kurt, to my number out of order here.
Okay.
Because it relates completely to what you're saying, and then I'll move on to my bad thing.
Gotcha.
Before we get to your number. The Oilers, in the first half of the game, they had 4 really dangerous moments where players moved into the slot, and not one of them shot, except for Frederick, of course, who was on a breakaway. But Mangiapane, Stetcher, he was the first, Bouchard, who circled the net instead of shooting, and McDavid, who passed off as well. They all had chances to slam that puck on net from the slot, and not one of them took it. And this would be just an example. If you on bad ice, if you want to score, take those shots. Don't get too fancy. 100%. I mean, Bouchard had a wide. He just came breaking down the side. He's got a good shot. He might have scored. And, he had, I think, the best opportunity of all of them. And he circles the net, and nothing comes of it. They were just too fancy early on, Kurt. And, Bouchard made a pass behind the net where he was a little fancy. He tried to put a back pass, and it went off the back of the net. Gets plopped out front to Wilf Kiley, who almost scored. So they were just way too fancy with the puck. instead of just playing direct and simple hockey. And so I saw the same thing as you did, and it by all rights they should have lost this game. It was just completely stolen by one guy, by Stuart Skinner, and opportunistic scoring by Frederick. So
let's pick up on that point though, because on that opportunistic goal that you talk about, the eventual game-winning goal, he didn't try to deke the Rangers goaltender. He played it simple. He just shot the puck right and beat him 5-hole. Again, on ice like this, those you may deke on a breakaway, but on ice like this, you're taking your chance that the puck will stick, right? Just pick a spot and shoot it, and he did, and it ended up the game winner. So to your point, which I agree,
that was a great shot. I wasn't expecting him to score, right? It's like Trent Frederick, and it's Shesterkin. So I figured, okay, he's got like a 1 in 10 chance. He just fired that home. What a great shot!
Yep.
Okay, my bad thing. The third pairing is not going well. And, Emberson is not going well. He's struggling with the speed of the game, both on the attack in terms of moving the puck and defensively. He's a step behind. And if Alec Regula had been healthy tonight, I think Regula would have been in the game and not Emberson.
Yep.
He lost Carrick on the first 5-alarmer of the game. He allowed in a pass to Edstrom in the second period for another 5-alarmer. He did make a solid block on the PK in the third. He had a few good moments, but overall, like he didn't contribute to one grade A shot, but he made mistakes on 5 against, according to my count. That's a really rough night for a defenseman. And Kulak was similar, 0 and -4. So he also he was caught up ice on one rush from Edstrom. And then he just got beat on the rush with 3 minutes left by Carrick. Went right around Kulak and almost scored to tie the game. So it was a huge mistake in crunch time by Brett Kulak, who's usually a pretty good defenseman. But they're struggling. The good news is there's lots of depth on the Oilers on the defense. They say Regula could be healthy by the end of the week. Troy Stetcher was a little sketchy, especially in the first. He started out rough. He got a little better, I thought, as the game went along.
Agreed.
But so they have some depth, though, in Regula and Stetcher and in Emberson. But Ty Emberson has got to be careful if he's not going to get waived, frankly, because that's what this could be headed. It'll be a decision between him and Stetcher, I think, if they have to send somebody down. And I think they're going to have to do that if the rest of the team gets healthy. We'll see who that is.
Well, I think there'd be a chance that Regula might go on IR.
Maybe.
We'll see. We don't know that it's a concussion. They never talk about those things in public, but it sure, he was run over by that same train twice. So
maybe a broken rib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can all assume.
Maybe we'll go on IR. Yep. Maybe.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that Wallman is not for sure, but likely to return on Thursday in Long Island. So, that's if you were going to ask me right now, which guy would you sooner have in the lineup, Troy Stetcher or Ty Emberson? I think at this point I'd take Stetcher.
I would trust Oilers coach Chris Knobloch to babysit my kids. I would not trust him to give me the truth on any injury ever. He consistently lies. Let's just be blunt. He does not tell the truth. He is not truthful when he talks about injuries. So Regula could be out for like 2 months, and we're not going to know it. Remember Arvidsson? I think it was Arvidsson last year. Oh man, he was just. Oh yeah, he'll be back. He's close. He's close. And like 1 month later, he's still not playing.
They kept saying day to day, right? like
they do. Yeah.
30 days later, it was still day to day.
I say this lightly. I actually don't care. I think it's silly. I think it's funny. I'm not betting on the games, and if they're injured, they're injured, and I can see why they're careful about talking about where injuries are on a player's body because those areas are targeted.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you be super cautious and super careful? So I think this is a good thing that Chris Knobloch has this. He's both a lion and a fox, perhaps. So the foxy side of him comes out when he talks about injuries. Kurt, what is your numero?
Your number was 4. My number is 4.
Yeah.
In the spirit of Bobby Orr. That was the 4th consecutive Edmonton Oilers win at Madison Square Garden. It's as good as home ice for us. We've won 6 of our last 7 at MSG. And Stuart Skinner is perfect at Madison Square Garden. He's 3-0-0 in the Big Apple. So there's no place like home unless you're in New York.
Never used to be that way. Like, we'd go on these road trips and you just expect to get slaughtered. I'm thinking, of course, back to the Decade of Darkness.
Yeah. When you have better teams, that doesn't happen as much.
How about those Buffalo Sabres, man?
Oh, God. What a SHT show that is.
Oh, so, of course, everyone's looking at the roster, including me, like thinking, oh, who can the Oilers maybe get?
Alex Tuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Ryan McLeod, hey? Like,
oh my God. Well, he got a $5 million a year contract.
Well, yeah, but he plays for a crap team. I mean,
I don't know why it's such a crap team, because they have some talented players, but they just can't get it together.
And the problem is they're so bad, those talented players want out. It's just...
I'd love to see Tage Thompson come to the Oilers like that, and because he's earning 7. Like, I'm because so people are talking about this. I don't see a way how the Oilers can bring in major contract during the season this season. I just, like, maybe they could bring in a $4 million a year guy if the other team eats half, but I don't see how you're going to bring in, and that could be Tuck. So Tuck earns, I think, $4.5 million. So maybe it could be Tuck, but in terms of Tage Thompson, he earns like close to $8 a year, I think. I just don't see how you're going to do it.
That'd have to be money in, money out, right?
Yeah. I don't know how that could work. So I could see them. They might be able to acquire such a player. The Oilers might be able this summer to acquire a big name, excellent hockey player who will come here on a bit of a value contract for the Oilers. That's a real possibility. Especially when Friedman was talking about the cap being maybe as high as $107 million this next year, as opposed to $104 million. I mean, it would go up $12 million. This would be a huge benefit to the Oilers, more of a benefit to the Oilers than any other team, because players actually want to come here. So in a salary caps world where everyone's got a lot of money to spend, it really matters if players want to play on your team. It's hugely significant because they will take discount contracts to come do that. So maybe this summer we'll be picking over the Sabres. I don't know. Like Tuck, he's going to be in really high demand.
Yes.
His contract. And I just don't see how the Oilers will have the assets to trade for Tuck compared to some other teams who have more draft picks and more prospects than the Oilers right now. I would be surprised if the Oilers could mount the best offer, especially as they would probably need Buffalo to eat some of the salary.
Well, that 2027 number 1 will be front and center.
Right? Correct, but lots of teams have a number 1 pick, right? Yep. And then they got some really good prospects. Now the Oilers do too, but
there's probably only 8 teams Tuck wants to play for, right?
That's true, Kurt. So you think there's a chance? You're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance.
I love that movie, Dumb and Dumber. It is one of my favorite movies. I just laugh every time I see it. All right, Kurt, I think we've gone through all aspects of the program tonight, except we're going to just finish off with a quick discussion about the 4 newcomers to the Oilers. Tomasek, Roslovic, Savoy, and Howard, 4 newcomer forwards that played tonight. And we'll finish off with Roslovic. What did you think of Howard and Savoy?
I thought Savoy was good on the PK. Plays smart defensively. He's got really good awareness for a kid his age, and moves his feet well. Digs for the puck. So I like that about him. But all of those traits describe a bottom 6 player. And he didn't have a shot on net tonight. And he's playing with good players. So I don't know. I think he's an NHL player. I think he'll play for the Edmonton Oilers this season, but I'm not so sure where he is in the lineup right now is where he's going to end up. So that's my view on Savoy. Howard, if he's only going to play 7:30 a night like he did tonight, he shouldn't be here. Period.
Correct. Yeah.
Period. I thought he was okay. Like he had a few moments, but when you only have those, how many shifts did he play tonight? He had 10 shifts. When you only have 10 shifts to show your stuff as an offensive player, that means your hands are cold half the time, figuratively speaking. The kid should be in Bakersfield where he can get all kinds of touches and play 20 minutes a night and be on the PK, on the power play rather. I like him. I think he's a really good acquisition, but he screams at least a half year in Bakersfield to me.
Yeah.
So those are my take on two players.
That's I'll just weigh in on those two.
Yeah.
Savoy made a couple turnovers that led to grade A shots at even strength. And he did ring a 5-alarmer off the post there when McDavid set him up in the third. That was a really nice chance, but he struggled on defense a bit at even strength. And I don't have anything to add on your Howard comment, but Tomasek, he's looking like he can play in the NHL and maybe play in the top 6. He's muscling his way into the slot, bossing the game, winning pucks on the boards to set up plays. At the end of the game, they combined him with Mangiapane with McDavid, and that line created on the attack. And he's done more to be a top 6 player and looks more like a top 6 player than Matt Savoy. So could Savoy crack the grind line? He doesn't really fit what Knobloch has talked about for that grind line, where he wants big, aggressive players. And so Savoy is aggressive, but he's not big. So he's going to be up and down the lineup a bit. And I think he'll probably be down after this game. I just think Tomasek is ready. We need to see him play before Hyman gets back. We need to see Tomasek in the top 6 and to see what he can do with really other skilled players, because he's one of them. He's got a tremendous amount of confidence and skill, and he looks ready to pop and get some points if he can get more ice time and get the right line mates.
Well, he was one of only 5 Oilers to be over 50% CF at 5-5 tonight. So I think I saw the same thing that you did. I have some concerns with his speed. He's not a great skater. He is average at best. But he protects the puck well. He really uses his size well. First of all, he's a bigger guy than I thought he was, both in terms of height and in terms of breadth. He's got a low center of gravity, and he uses it well. Right? He's at 29 years old. He's figured a few things out about how to use his body to his advantage, right? And to negate some of the negatives. So it's he keeps looking like an NHL player to me as well, Dave. So.
He's going for it, Kurt.
Yeah.
He's trying to make plays to score. Like, he's not holding back anything. And that's what you have to do, right? And the other guys aren't quite there.
Yeah. I think it's a desperation that he's playing with.
Yeah, and he should be, because he's 29. Yeah. This is it. Let's might as well go for it.
For sure.
Might as well just go for it and be positive and try to score, because this is it. I think the second they traded for Roslovic meant Howard's going to the minors, and it'll happen eventually. Mm-hmm. I thought Roslovic, actually, I was really impressed. He's got a lot of offensive hockey skill, really fast, really good with the puck. What's not to like with this guy as an attacker? I can see why he was 65th in the entire NHL for forwards for even strength scoring last year. He's a highly skilled offensive hockey player. And I see him in the top 6 on these Oilers. It's with Mangiapane and him, and when Hyman comes back, it's going to be pretty crowded up there. The Oilers are going to have one hell of a top 6, Kurt. I think it's going to happen. We've been waiting for it to happen. It's going to happen.
I saw him only subtly different than you did. I thought he was certainly above average, and I remember instances in all three periods where he made significant contributions to scoring chances.
Yeah.
I can see that he has good boots and he has a touch with the puck. On the other hand, he didn't have a shot on net, and his 5-on-5 CF for a guy that's supposedly really good at 5-on-5 was 28%, which was the worst on the team tonight.
Okay.
But this guy has had one practice and no training camp. Right. So if he was already this good in his first game, imagine what he might be in 10 games and in 15 games. Right. So watching him tonight gives me hope and a reasonable amount of positivity that this guy is going to turn into a real player for the Oilers.
Interesting bet, 1.5 million. He's got this. Elliot Friedman was talking about this
that four-team
trade list, which is interesting. Like
by November 1st, right?
Who asked for that? Is it by November 1st or after November 1st? I think it's after November 1st.
Yeah, I think it's at November 1st it kicks in, right?
And so who wanted that and why is that there?
I perceived it, and I don't know this is true. I perceived that was the player and the agent saying, if we're going to sign here, we want to make sure we get a real chance to get our feet on the ground first. And I think that clause helps guide that. That's the way I see it anyway. There may well be other reasons that I'm not aware of.
They probably saw what happened to Jeff Skinner last year, who was signed to play in the top six and then just never really asserted himself. Roslovic looked like a much faster, more direct hockey player than Skinner to me. So we'll see. Like and again, both Roslovic and Mangiapane are a couple years younger than Arvidsson and Skinner, Jeff Skinner, who struggled. Like they were just out of their prime, both those attackers. It's now clear. These guys are still in their prime. They're, under 30. That's usually the prime for wingers in the NHL, and they're still there. So this could work out a little bit better. And they've both made excellent first impressions, with me at least. I mean, I gave Roslovic a 6. Mangiapane a 6.
I think that's perfect.
They weren't world beaters. But I'm just talking about what I saw, bursts of speed and skill that I thought, oh wow, this is an exciting hockey player.
The other quick thing that I thought was really good tonight was that third line. We know they've been looking for a hard defensive line. That tonight was Trent Frederick along with Kasperi Kapanen and Vasily Podkolzin. Listen to the lines of these three guys, and obviously Frederick got the goal, and Kapanen got the assist on it. Nice pass up the middle. Here's Frederick: 2 shots, 3 blocks, 3 hits, 50% on draws. Kapanen a shot and 3 hits, and Podkolzin 3 blocks and 2 hits. So that's a heavy line, right? Those numbers say that. And all 3 of those players, particularly Frederick and Podkolzin, are smart defensive players. And the longer I watch Kapanen, the more I think he has the ability to be a smart defensive player. So I think early returns on that third line, I quite like them tonight.
I think when you take a player like Kapanen and you kind of take away the you're not going to be a scorer on this team. We don't need you to do that. We don't want you to do that. We need you in this role. You give him a defined role. He's big enough and he's fast enough. He can do that. He could become a checker. So maybe we're seeing that. We're certainly seeing with Podkolzin. And he's thriving in his role, and Kapanen is to it right now.
Kapanen, there was a long, easy dump into the New York zone tonight, and Kapanen just got on his horse and just steamed into the other end. And the New York defenseman should have had lots of time to retrieve that puck and turn around and clear the zone, and he didn't. And it's because Kapanen was on him right away. Like, he really busted his ass on the forecheck. And when I watched that play, I thought to myself, this guy might just be getting it. That's a sign that he accepts his role, that his speed and size might be put on this earth to serve that purpose for the Edmonton Oilers in 2025.
Well, he's probably looking over at Matias Ekholm, who's about 5 years older, and he's thinking, he made $6 or $7 million in these last 5 years, Ekholm, or whatever it was, maybe even a little bit more. He's thinking, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could earn $7 or $8 million if I just do what he did. And I can do what he did.
He's
You know,
probably also thinking that Matias Janmark's about to come off IR, and I don't want to come out of the lineup.
yeah, I think Janmark is done personally on the Oilers.
He's on the trip, so he's got to be close, right?
The coaches like him too, but I think his play has been dropping ever since he got here. Each year he's been getting weaker defensively. So he started out as his first year with the Oilers, ultra elite defensive hockey player. Second year, good defensive hockey player. Third year, average. And if you're Matias Janmark, you cannot be an average defensive hockey player and when you stay on the Edmonton Oilers, because you're not a scorer at all. So they'll try to move him, I think, and we'll see what happens when that.
Yeah, they'd need waivers to move him down, of course. And it certainly wouldn't be the end of the world if he was claimed, because while sure you lose a depth player, you'd also clear up that much cap space, which wouldn't hurt. But I'm not so sure anybody would take him and plan to keep him on their NHL roster all year. Just being honest, no disrespect to Matias Janmark, who's a good pro, but I kind of see him the same way you do at this point.
Hopefully there'll be a team with a lot of injuries who needs a PK guy, because he could help a team that's not as good as the Oilers on their checking line, but not a team with Stanley Cup aspirations. He's just not at that level anymore.
You know who has a million injuries right now is Ottawa.
Yeah, send him there. Yeah. There you go. Kurt, let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
Always a pleasure.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.